Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the wonderful, wonderful session that we are doing today. We are getting together for November. Hopefully everyone had a great harvest fest, got their decorations in place, for Halloween, and now transitioning to get your Thanksgiving gear in place. This time of the season, you start rearranging your house, home decorations, getting ready for inviting people over during the holiday season.
Stop throwing hints, D2. Stop throwing.
I'm just saying. Some people have the tradition, you got to order that potato salad. That Richmond potato salad. You don't get your order in on time, you're gonna be scrambling.
Some people make their own potato salad, right? I bet you some of you make your own. I know some people that make awesome, better than the store-bought stuff. It's better to make stuff at home. I just found out I made chicken noodle soup in the crock pot better than anything I've ever bought in the restaurants. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right, Eric. That's right.
You gotta respect your kitchen. Charity begins at home, and
that's right.
The best meals are made at home, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Here in Richmond, we also have a local place that makes like the best potato salad. So you had to get your order in early.
What's the name of the place? Maybe I'll check it out if I go back there.
I don't know. I can't. It's not coming to me at the moment. As soon as Melanie Lee gets on, I'll get her to tell us. And but it's like a Richmond tradition. You got to get your potato salad from this particular place.
You gotta talk about U crops.
I need to know that too. I don't know that either.
Yeah, it's not U crops. It's another. It's almost like a Carytown something, and so people place their orders weeks in advance. You pick it up that Thursday.
Oh, you're talking about that place on West Broad across the street from the Science Museum. What is it called? Sally Bells?
Sally Bells, yes.
Sally
People
Bells.
order from Sally Bells. Get their Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, all together. We love that. That is just our trademark. We just always like to start all of our activities together with that song. For leaders, I know sometimes we wake up in the morning and we've had maybe 2 hours, 3 hours worth of sleep. And we got to start that thing all over again. And, we wake up, get an email, somebody didn't get what they wanted. They didn't, something's missing, something's not on time. Rarely do we get that early email and it's appreciation. It's like, oh, we just love you. You just amazing. You just add so much value to our life. So that's why we like to start with that song, to let you know you are the best, that you're simply the best. You're amazing, not only because you're a leader, but you're a leader who gets up early on the first Friday of every month and comes together with other leaders to talk about leadership. And so we're so excited to have you. And so we are, doing this session in November. We have this wonderful, powerful session in November. I started alluding earlier how we start to get ready for new things. And, one of those new things is the goal setting for the next year. This is preseason right here. People who follow the NFL, you have your preseason, you practice, you get ready for the season, right? Well, the 2022 season is coming. And so we're starting that process to get us ready for 2022. So, today's session will help us focus on that and get ready for that. So we already had our welcome, welcome. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and throw your name in the chat. If you have your link to your profile, on LinkedIn. You can go ahead and throw that in the chat, and then you can always put where you're participating from. We'd like to know what folks we have in the room, and then we have our introductions, which we will start right now. So we'll have each individual to say their name, company, or organization that you're with, and then tell us what TV show that you're currently watching. You know, whether you're a Hulu, or whether you're a Netflix, or whether you're Amazon Prime, or maybe you just might be just old school cable, or you may be, watching, the traditional channels, maybe a CBS or NBC, gal or girl. So that we'll do that with our introductions. And so we are going to start with Eric. Eric Smith, why don't you start us off with tell us, who you are, and let us know, what TV show that you are currently watching.
Well, I'm Eric Smith. This is the second time I've been a part of this group. Again, I don't know how this really came about, but the things I do seem to be supposed to happen for a reason, so I'm here. So anyway, I'm zooming in here from Rochester, Minnesota. Like I said, it's the Med City. Anyone that we're tagged the Med City, Mayo Clinic, Med City. A lot of people take meds here. Meds come out of here. Mayo Clinic's known around the world. I work there. I don't work there, but it's a good place. It's a good place to be where a hospital is, because medical stuff is never going away. Wherever there's people, there's always going to be jobs in the medical field. So anyway, my favorite show of all time is All in the Family. If you older people can kind of know Archie Bunker and Edith and Meathead and Gloria, and that's classic. They'll never make things like that again. And in terms of TV, I don't watch network TV. My TV here, basically, I hang clothes on it. I'm not a TV watcher. I zoom in on two shows for sure. I catch every week. Almanac, which is a local public television show out of the cities. It's good quality journalism. They don't have an agenda as far as I can see. And then I catch a local show here in Rochester called Our Town, RTOWN, and that's just things that are related to Rochester, where I live. So those two I make every week. The rest of it, I watch CBS overnight. It was like entertainment. I'm like, if I want to be entertained, I don't want to watch you.
There you go.
It's kind of silly. It's silly stuff. So the news I get online, I read articles.
Okay, excellent. Well, welcome, Eric. This is your episode number 2.
Yeah, thank you.
You got a little ways to catch up with Adrian and Vera. You got a little ways, and Tanya. They've been around a while. All right, so Tanya, you are next. Why don't you introduce yourself to the group?
Good morning. I'm Tanya Cunningham, and let's see. I live in Petersburg, Virginia. I work for Henrico Social Services, and the show I'm binging is, I don't really binge shows, I don't think. I mean, sometimes I record them and watch a couple back to back. But one show I have to watch every day is Everyone Loves Raymond, or Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes. Oh man.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yes. Everyone Loves Raymond. It is a classic. Oh.
Yeah. It's really fun to me.
Yes. It's a great group of comedians that they have, set for that.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Welcome, Tanya. It's always good to see you. And
Thank you.
We will go to Cartier Smith. How about you?
Good morning, everyone. I am Cartier Smith. I've recently onboarded to the Department of Medical Assistance Services as the Senior Ops Operations Leader for Program and Operations. I work with Adrian Fagans, who has been a great support system during the transition. My LinkedIn, I am currently revamping because of the transition. So I'm trying to incorporate my new role into that. So I will share that with the next meeting because I certainly will join. The theme music sold me, so I will be back. So it is a pleasure. And, I binge everything. I am a Grey's Anatomy fanatic, but I also go back and I'm rewatching old SVU episodes all the time. So I see Adrian jamming on it. So, I am really open to any type of shows. If it's on TV, I've probably seen it. I touch on everything. But it's a pleasure to be here this morning. Good Friday to you all.
Absolutely. Congratulations on your new job opportunity. And you do get to work with an amazing group of leaders.
Absolutely.
Adrian Fagans is a beast. And then we know Cheryl Roberts.
Right. Oh, yes, they are. They have been great and welcoming. And I am, you wonder about a transition during a virtual world, a new world. And it has been better than I could have expected. So thank you.
Absolutely. Right. Well, why don't we go ahead and stay in the DMAS family? Adrian Fagans, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to have Cartier on board with us. She is an amazing addition to our team, and we're just so excited. And she is actually going to teach me stuff. So I am excited about that because I'm always open for learning new things. Good morning. I'm Adrian Fagans. I'm Senior Program Administrator with Virginia Medicaid. Let's see. I love mysteries. I've always, even, growing up reading stuff, it was always the mystery. So, and kind of a little bit of action, not a whole lot. So I binge watch NCIS Los Angeles all the time, every episode of it. And now I'm hooked on Peacock has Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol, where they're doing seasons. I watch that. I've read all of Dan Brown's books. And I'm waiting to see if they're going to do a third season of Lupin, because that was on Netflix. That was an amazing series.
Yes. That is awesome. Great job. And thank you for welcoming and inviting our new teammate.
Yeah.
Just can't be a part of the team without coming to the L2L.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Welcome. And those are some great shows that you mentioned too. All right. So that brings us to Vera. Vera, you want to do your introductions?
So good morning, everyone. So I'm a new entrepreneur, newly self-employed person out here. So Cartier, I understand about the LinkedIn because I'm revamping mine as well. I like the History Channel. I like anything history I really like. I'm also a YouTuber, so I'm on YouTube a lot. I'm into like spirituality and anything motivational. I might check it out. But I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm a YouTuber too, and I'm gonna tell you, it's terrible because you YouTube before you go to bed, an hour and a half. Hours can go by easily. All right, Benda Nandu.
Good morning, everyone. Benda Nandu here in Chesterfield, Virginia. I am a legal assistant and marketing assistant with the Lee Law Office. We're an estate planning firm. We also are the assistant commissioner of accounts for the city of Richmond. I'm also on the board of directors for Dr. Musawa Kabango Science Education, Inc., a nonprofit, and also a student. What else you ask me? Would I binge?
Yes, what's your TV shows that you binge watch?
I don't really watch a lot of TV, but my favorite thing when I was younger was Harry Potter. So I will rewatch any of the 8 Harry Potter movies. I do it all year round, but especially around this time of year between Halloween and Christmas.
All right. All right. All right. Well, welcome. And Benda is part of our support team, keeps all the technology. Benda was not here last month. And Vera and Adrian Fabians had to deal with the pain.
My apologies, Stephen. I can't say it won't happen again, but we will make the proper adjustments.
Absolutely. Adrian Whitaker, go ahead.
Hello, D2. I am over the pain. I'm now in the happy space. So I'm Adrian Whitaker. By day, I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Virginia Housing. I also have the pleasure to hang out and to work with my dear, dear, dear friend, D2 Kasui. We started the L2L Leadership Institute. D2, we actually started in 2004, but we changed the name about 7 years ago. D2, you asked me, what is my binge? And D2 thinks I'm going to tell you all that my binge is Law and Order. And that is because on all 6 channels, all day, every day, Law and Order is on every single channel in this house. But I'm going to tell you that I have a secret passion, and every day, I watch an episode of Bewitched. 1964 to 1973, I am a big fan of Bewitched. Those were the best years ever. And I can tell you about Bewitched, but I can break it down for you. So if you ever want to call me, I drop my number in and I can break it down to you and tell you the story behind the story of the characters and the message of diversity, equity, and inclusion that is embedded in every single episode of Bewitched.
Absolutely. I got a small taste a couple of weeks ago. And I love that show, but I never picked up on the subtle clues of diversity and inclusion that was a part of it. Adrian helped bring that to light for me. So that was excellent. Well, thank you, Adrian. And everyone.
Adrian, what's the name of the lady, the leading actress? What's her name?
Elizabeth Montgomery.
Oh, okay. So is that her real name or is that her Hollywood name, or we don't know?
That is her real name. She is a second-generation actor. Her father was also a stage and radio and TV actor. His last name was Montgomery as well.
She said she knew it. Well, everyone, my name is D2 Kasui, and I'm with Kasui and Associates, and I'm a part of the L2L Leadership family collaboration. Adrian is my partner in success. And the TV show that I am currently binge watching, well, I'm setting up to binge watch, because that watch the episode and wait till the next week, that gets to be a little frustrating for me. So what I do is I wait to the end of the season, and I'm doing the 3-headed binge watch. So that means I'm going to watch FBI, FBI International, and FBI Wanted. All 3 of those together. Mr. Ed Wolf, I mean, he has gotten television down. I mean, I think he almost owns 3 nights of the week, because on Wednesday it's Chicago Medical, it's Chicago PD, and it's Chicago Fire. And then he has the SUVs on Thursday. But I'm setting that to binge watch the on a Saturday during the holiday season. So that's a good 3 hours of 7 episodes. I could take me through 2 days. So I'm excited about that. And so Adrian, you want to tell them a little bit about the L2L Institute, and then we'll get into our video.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I alluded to, we started L2L Leadership Institute several years ago. It started off as we transitioned it to what it is today. It started because we were doing the Live to Lead conferences here in Richmond. We usually do the Live to Lead conferences in the the late fall. This year, we're going to do it in this season, we're going to do it in January 2022. So you'll get your invitation to that. But for that event, we have about 250 people who join us for a leadership conference. And then we decided that we wanted to continue these conversations and to build our skills and on a monthly basis. And that's how we started the L2L Leadership Institute, and specifically this mastermind session. D2 and I both have extensive experience in various roles in leadership. I have been certified in leadership for sales management, for change management, for sales, and I've worked for various organizations before I came to Virginia Housing. Was a senior vice president at a bank, was a vice president at a HBCU, but I am thrilled to be here now at L2L Leadership Institute with my dear friend and partner, D2 Kasui.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, Adrian. And it has been my extreme pleasure to be able to work with Adrian. And just last week, Adrian and I did a wonderful session entitled Inclusive Leadership, Empower Your Team and Maximize Your Impact. So that was a wonderful session. I'll drop that in the link, just in case if you didn't get a chance to check out that presentation for us. It's really kind of like a webinar where you got a little tidbit. We do have a full-blown training session that we're able to do for organizations and for companies. And so with that, let's get into today's video. I'm excited about goal setting, and goal setting is so important. People, it's one of those things that it's not extremely hard to do, but it's easy not to do. It's easy not to do. And so this is one of the tools, one of the best tools and technologies that leaders have to be successful, not only in your personal life, but also at work, because leadership is about getting everyone on the same page, going in the right direction. It's about being intentional. And when you start setting goals, you're being intentional. You kind of taking things out of your mind and putting it into reality. And then you're gathering resources, whether it's time, money, or other people to get together for a common purpose or activity. And so our speaker today, Mr. Derek Mills, is going to, give some additional information about goal setting and how we can leverage that to be able to have the type of success, or I like to say the type of freedom, the freedom that we can have in our lives. And this amazing speaker, has taken, his athletic triumphs, that, one thing that people often forget about, being an athlete, it's not only about competing, it's about building the skill sets to be successful. You can transition those opportunities that you do on the track or on the court. They can also allow you to be successful in whatever field or industry that you want to be in. And so he is an amazing, he has his JD, and he's currently working at Tulane University in New Orleans. I can never say the Orleans like the
New Orleans.
In New Orleans. they got it a little different. They have a little twang to it when they say it. I can't roll my R and all that other stuff. But anyhow, Benda, on to the video.
A few years ago, I'm broke. I'm depressed. I've been working in the business for 17 years on a self-employed, commission, fees-only basis. I'm working 6-7 days a week, which means I'm not seeing my wife, I'm not seeing my children. And actually what's happening is when I'm in the office, I'm often thinking about what's happening at home. What are they doing? What are the kids up to? What's Jerry doing? When I was in the house, I was also thinking about work because I need to know how I'm going to pay those bills. Who can I see next to get some money to pay those bills? And the clients that I had were really abusing my trust and my service, my willingness to drive anywhere in the country to look after them and to serve them. So I was losing out in a huge way, in every way it seemed. And because of that, and that feeling of, there's more to me than this. I've got a greater life than this. But I can't figure out how to do it, how to get that greater life out. And I was depressed. What I actually wanted was the life of freedom, a life where I could have choices about my time, and to see my loved ones, and to have time with my loved ones, and to work less time and actually have more money and create wealth for myself and other people, and to make a difference in the world, and to be happy, and to get that greatness which I know is inside of me, outside of me. This I had to do. That's the life. Right now, it's vital for me to share an idea that came to me that changed everything. Because for 17 years, I've been failing in my life and in my business, failing on every level that was important to me, until I made a decision that changed everything one night. 2003, November the 11th, I'm in my office and I get a moment of inspiration that said, you've been using a system, and this is my confession, I've been using this system for 17 years, a system that I've been told to use to become happy and successful by gurus and teachers all over the world. And the system was set goals to be happy and successful. And who hasn't heard that? Because wherever you go in the world, every approach says, set goals to be happy and successful. The challenge was 17 years in that position, read the books, went on the courses, not successful, failing, unhappy. One night I realized that, hey, this has got to change. And for that to change, I have to change. In a moment of inspiration, I realized instead of living in the future with these goals, I had to live in the present and be me right now. The challenge that I discovered was this: goals are future-based. And what each and every one of us does is we set our goals for that future. And we say to ourselves, when I get that thing, when I be that thing, when I've got that thing, done that thing, then I'll be happy. And there's the lie, isn't it? Because you can't be happy in the future. Happiness is a present time experience. Happiness is a now experience. I've been telling myself for 17 years, one day I'll be happy. And in order to be happy in the future, I was actually removing happiness from today. And I had to stop that night. And it did. The system of goal setting is something that everybody uses everywhere in the world. And I've spoken now on 4 continents to people from hundreds of countries. And they've all used the same system. But here's the challenge. Most people, most places, most of the time, miss their goals. And the question is, how long do you stick with the system that doesn't work for most people, most of the time, for about 100 years? How long do you stick with that system? Because if you've got a car or a watch and it doesn't work properly, it's broken, it means there's something missing. It's not working. There's something missing. And that night at my office, November 2003, I discovered what was missing. I discovered what I had to do in that space was to be myself, authentically me, which means 2 things. I realized I had to set and live by daily standards. And what that means is this. I realized in that space I had to go inside and discover who I really am and who I'm meant to be. And instead of living by these goals in the future, to live by standards, but one day at a time. So standards, as an example, is an authentic thing that's inside of us. It's real for us and that's true for us. This critical missing link is what I realized that was missing all around the world. I've spoken to hundreds of people and thousands of people at a time. And when I ask them the question, have you set goals? Most hands go up. And I say to them, the next question is, and how's that working out for you? Giggle, giggle, shuffle, shuffle, awkward look. Because it hasn't been working out for us, for you, for the world. And that's why daily standards became the way for me to go forward. So the daily standard became one thing. A daily standard is a basis, criterion, level, quality, or rule that you set from within. You set from inside of your truth, you as a person, you as a business. And you live from that place just for today. A basis, criterion, level, quality, rule, just for today. Not for the future, but for today. Because it keeps you present, it keeps you now. And remember, happiness is a present time experience. Keeping you in the now. And this wasn't new. I realized actually what I'd uncovered was some ancient text. Because 2,000 years ago, Christ walked the earth. And 2,000 years ago, he said many things, and one of the things he taught us was the Lord's Prayer. And in the middle of the Lord's Prayer, he gave 4 words. Give us this day. Give us this day. And that meant being now in the present. And I don't think he misspoke. He didn't say, give us this month, give us this quarter, give us this 3-year business plan, give us this 20-year program, give us this. He said, give us this day. I think he meant what he said, and he said what he meant. And I think he was right. Son of God and all that. He was right. Today, present, standards, authentic. And I began to do that. Within a few short years, everything had changed for me. The whole approach of my life changed. Within a few short years, I'd got the life that I wanted, and more, way beyond what I expected to have, far beyond. And I began to change my life, and I became, within a few short years, 3 years from that spot, I made my first million. But it's not about the million. I became happy immediately rather than waiting for something to happen in the future. But I made the million work in less than half the time that I used to. And I changed the clients I was dealing with. I got rid of the clients that were messing me around and abusing my trust and service. I let go of a number of my friends that were not the right standard for who I was, who I really was. I changed my health and my eating standards, my activity standards, my attitude standards, my relationship standards, my money standards. I changed all those standards, and as I raised those standards, I raised me up. And the gifts that I already had inside of me were there, waiting to come out, and they came out. Which meant I began to coach, and then to teach, and even as a former stutterer, to speak. And this is the gift of living by daily standards. Because in your presence, the gifts that you're missing, the gifts that could change your life, already inside of you right now, they're waiting to come out. So what I began to do was to share this around the world. People began to, with organizations and companies, and we're helping them to understand what the goal was doing to their approach. And what I realized that when people were living by goals only, they often had the wrong behavior in order to achieve those goals. And the wrong behavior meant a lot of companies around the world, and even present-time companies, people like Volkswagen and other organizations, and the banking system, they were using goal achievement and driving the wrong behavior. And if you use the wrong behavior to achieve those goals, you suffer. But more importantly, people you seek to serve suffer. So goals can drive the wrong behavior and cause us to be who we're not meant to be. And everybody loses. So as I began to share this and working with organizations and schools and companies and businesses, they realized actually, if we do this in a different way, we really get to achieve something beyond what we thought we could do, beyond goals. So that was from 2003. By 2009, Harvard released a paper, the Harvard Business Review. And that business review basically said, goals have gone wild. This is post-credit crunch, of course. And what they were saying was actually that the goals that people have been using in their businesses over decades has not only not kept them authentic and real and happy, had damaged the world. And they gave case after case after case involving Kellogg University, Kellogg Institute, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and put these papers and said, listen, goals have gone wild. The system that's breaking, the NHS, the care system, these are challenges that each of us are facing because of goals. They talked about car companies that had the wrong standards on their materials and their manufacturing that cost lives. They talked about businesses that did the wrong level of service, that where their customers suffered and paid over and over again for that service. They talked about care and hospitals and institutions. I think every one of us now knows that in the UK, the unnecessary thousands of deaths of people caused by the goals mentality and the target mentality of people that really wanted to help, but by having goals, forgot about the behavior and the standards, the basis, the criterion, the levels, the quality of rules of how they really should behave in order to make a difference in people's lives, the people they sought to serve. So I began this journey around the world to talk to lots of other people. And at first, because I know, like you know, that every teacher, every guru on the stage or any book says, set goals to be successful, I came up against some resistance. And I felt a bit like Copernicus, where he was saying, look, it doesn't actually work that way. You're missing something. It isn't a question of the sun going around the earth. It's actually the earth that goes around the sun. You're missing something. You need to do something different and pay attention to something different. And that something different was daily standards. And that's how we begin to make change. When we look at the reviews of what caused the banking crisis, we recognize that in that space, Every single time, the solution or the summary of that report says, goals and targets. These guys and girls were trying to achieve their goals and targets with no idea what the standards should be. Or if they cared about the standards, they didn't want to use those standards. So let me say about daily standards. Firstly, is that they're daily. You do them every single day. And standards, your daily standards, don't care whether you're aware of them or not. I wasn't there when the rules were made up. Or maybe I was, I don't know. I wasn't there when the rules were made up. But what I do know is that they run you anyway. They run us, whether you're aware of them. It's like a baby on the couch. It has no concept of gravity. But if it rolls off that couch, gravity affects it. So your daily standards are like your subroutines. They don't care whether you know about them. They're running you beneath your belief system, beneath your values. They're running us. And because of that, we have to be really, really conscious of the daily standards that we adopt. So for the very first time, many people began to become aware of their daily standards. And they learned one thing. And this is the one thing. Goals don't achieve goals. They never have. Your success, my success, the world, all the achievement that we have is not determined by our goals. It's determined by your daily standards. The rules, the criteria, the levels, the base that we live by each and every day. Those are things that determine us. A friend of mine, who's a friend now, who was a client back then, came to me and he said, I've got a problem. He'd been turned down for life insurance. And I said, well, no, and he was upset. I said, okay, so tell me what the problem is. He said, well, I've got these goals. I've always had a goal to be able to run a mile, I think he said in 8 minutes. He also said I wanted to have a six-pack. And he also said I wanted to be able to bench press 250. And finally said to me, I want to be able to walk my daughter, who was young then, walk my daughter down the aisle when she gets married. So I said to him, tell me about your day and how you run your day. So, well, in the morning, one of the things I do, he said, is I have a full English breakfast. That's one basis of how I work. Full English, I said, every day? He said, yeah, every day. I said, okay, fine. And what do you do in the evening? He said, well, there's a rule, basis, criteria, level, quality, or rule. As a rule, what do you do in the evening? He said, well, as a rule, I have a couple of beers. Well, who doesn't have a couple of beers? That's what I do in the evening. And I'm around with these friends, and my exercise is quite a lot, because every evening, as a joke, he said, I do that whilst lying on the couch, and that's my exercise, the remote control, pretty much every evening. So I could see the qualities he was using. So tell me about the food that you eat. And the food that he was eating was low-quality food, high quality in terms of its cost, but high sugar, high fat. He had no level of the concept of the quality of what he was really eating. I said, okay, if a child walked in here today and said to you, these are your goals, healthy and walk your daughter down the aisle and fit and a six-pack, but if you use these standards, are these standards going to achieve that goal? And even you know, not in a month of Sundays, that those standards are going to achieve that goal. Because there's the second thing. Our daily standards determine us. Our daily standards predict us. They predict our story. Any one of us can look at ourselves or another and say, tell me your goals, now tell me your daily standards. So it's time to be honest and look at our daily standards. Once you've got your goal, forget it, set it. Because goals don't achieve goals. They never have. The daily standards determine us. Which is why when we look at organizations and businesses that affect all of our lives, we really have to pay attention to this stuff. Because we can look at that business and say, you're not doing that right. If you carry on doing it that way, you'll affect all of us. Galileo had a challenge. Because he went around the world and telling people who were in authority, the way you think it is, isn't the way it is. It's a different way. And of course I said to him, don't talk about this. Don't speak about this. This is heresy. You can't say goals don't work. What I'm saying is that goals don't work. There's something missing. What we have to do is focus on the daily standards, because they're the things that determine us. Let's focus on just these things and nothing else. So here's what I found for some people and some organizations. Some of them embrace this, and I now talk around the world to institutions and large and major companies, from financial services to healthcare companies, to help them implement daily standards to achieve their goals in a way that helps and serves. Because if you can run your life or your own business in a way that helps and serves you, that allows you to help and serve others, isn't that real? Isn't that more authentic? Isn't that the best way to be for you in the world? And that's what we began to do, to look at those organizations and say, here's how we could and should do things. But I found one or two other people, because they were stuck in the old way, Just like Galileo and his opponents, they wouldn't even look to see. You know, when he said, have a look and we'll prove it, just look at this system and you'll know that the old way that you've been using does not work. Have a look to see, and they wouldn't even look to see. Now, in our lives, every one of us, we have the opportunity to change who we are. And we can look at right now you can look at one of these areas and decide which of those areas is most important to you, to your life, to your business, to whatever goal you've got, and choose an area. And today, right now, today, latest today, review that area and review your standards in that area and how you're living in that day, because you need to know this. The way you are in that area will determine you and nothing else. Whatever goals you've got, that won't be your determinant. It will be the daily standards. This is my grandmother. Lives in the care home. And the problem with this, so the one she used to live in, which is what this picture is all about, is that I used to go into the room and see on the back of the door that she had water given to her 6 times a day. The problem is when I walked into the room, she was dehydrated. So the goal had been achieved. Someone gets a bonus, someone gets a tick, someone gets a pat on the back, because the water was in the room, but my grandmother was bedridden. Goal achieved. My grandmother didn't get the water because she's bedridden. Goal achieved. Poor standards. People suffer. Banking, healthcare, hospitals, schools, organizations. That's you. That's me. That's us. So to change the whole thing, what I invite you to do is whatever your role in life is begin to make a difference. Don't be the guys that won't look through the telescope. Look, take a look, just look to see. And you'll see the difference inside of you personally and what you can do in the world to embrace this. If you want to change your life, you need to look at your daily standards as the best implementation tool for goals there is. That's what I've discovered anywhere in the world. If you want to change an organization, it's the same thing. Take a look at your daily standards. If you want to change the world, our world is not changed by our goals. It's changed by what we do. And what we do is our daily standards. Join this. It's not an idea. It's a movement. Thank you.
You know, so much in life is about what we've always done and the way we've always done it. Didn't matter whether we understood it. It's just the way it's always been done. So as we get into it, let's first I always like to start with our top insights. What is one of the top insights that you got from this particular presentation? If you want to go ahead and throw your insights in the chat, go ahead and throw it in the chat. And if anyone wants to share one of their top insights verbally, just raise your hand. Let us know. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Eric Smith.
I would say one thing a takeaway I got from him, which, I try to practice, no one's perfect. It's about practice, but, if you really want change, it's got to come from within. There's so much we have no control over, but, our actions, our behavior, that's I think how that gentleman, what he was trying to say, we can change our goals. You've got to be flexible, but it's got to come from within, and no one's really going to motivate you except yourself. That self-motivation, self-determination, goal setting, he was right on. I got something out of it. I like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric, for sharing. I think that's extremely powerful. When the part that you alluded to, but also connected to me too, it's really about happiness. It's not something that we get after we achieve something, right? We don't have to get that new job. We don't have to get the $1 million in the bank. We don't have to find that boo in order to be happy. Happiness is a condition that we can have in the presence, of today. And that's a powerful message for today and for folks, who may be transitioning from different types of circumstances, but oftentimes we attribute that happiness to getting something. And that is, again, that's a fallacy in life. Vera, go ahead and add your thoughts to the table.
Yeah, my 2 cents. He was good, but my one takeaway was when he said your goals, your goals can drive the wrong behavior. You know, we always just list your goals. What are your goals? But totally miss the daily standards. If you don't have any standards,
Yes.
you're not going to hit the goals. I thought that was really good. And we always, even at work, you know, you have goals, or they tell you you need to meet these sales or whatever. But then if you don't have any standards there, that's when it can get ugly. You can miss the mark. You start doing things to meet the goal that are not ethical, that are, you know, that you shouldn't do because you're just trying to meet the goal. You don't have any standards. So yeah, I think it's important. You got to have some standards and be authentic and know who you are before you can even start to write down goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Vera, thank you. You hit it out the park, right? You know, goals, I would put it this way, goals without values, right, leads to some of the worst things in history, right? And so still some things that are ongoing, you know, because the power of goal setting is that you get your mind on a particular thing. But the question is, you know, the thing that we have our mind set on, you know, is it truly aligned with who we are as a person, who we are as a company, who we are as a society, right? And when people miss that part, then people often, you know, do by any means necessary, right? You know, to get that particular goal. And we know in the culture, right? There's a fixation, you know, of things that are not really grounded in reality and not really grounded in what adds value to individuals, and it doesn't add value to the community as a whole, at least not what we profess. So that goal setting is goal setting aligned with values often can really make a difference, the standard that we're talking about. So excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Vera. Adrian, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, actually, I agree with everything that's been said. You know, one of the things that hit me, D2, is that, you know, as we're trying to pursue greatness, we can have happiness as long as we are grounded with our values. So, you know, we're pursuing greatness. We're pursuing to get better. We're not pursuing happiness, even though there's that pursuit of happiness. We can be happy in our pursuit. But the other thing, too, is that, you know, an important part of goals and achieving goals is in the actually putting together the plan and executing against the plan. And so as we talk about our daily standards, that's that's directing to, what's your plan? What is your plan? What is your plan grounded in? And then how are you working your plan?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, and we're going to go to the breakout in just a second. And so when you think about goals, think about it from two perspectives. We're inviting you to think about two perspectives. One is personal goals, is goals that you have as an individual, right? And what we preach in the L2L Leadership Institute, or we invite people to consider, is, you know, have a plan for your life, right? Plan for your life, your personal goals, right? Your personal standards. And then you have organizational standards, right? Things that you lead, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's at work, or maybe it's your family, you know, other things that you're in charge of and you have influence. And so you also have a set of goals with that. And so there's some nuances to that, but the basics and the fundamentals of that are the same. And the question is, do you have standards for each one of those? You know, because some of the things we may want to achieve, you know, we go about it in a way that does not align with what we really want to accomplish. So here's our breakout set of questions for all of you in the breakout group. Let me make sure I got the right. So, what experiences does your company have with goal setting? Or you can say, what experiences that you have for personal goal setting? So if you want to take the organizational route or the personal route, either one that works for you. And what associations do you have with standards, right? And are there goals that could be replaced or broken down into standards instead? And what goals could that be? So that is going to be your breakout session. What experiences do you have with your company with your company has with goal setting, or what experiences do you have with personal goal setting, and what associations do you have with standards? And are there any goals that could be replaced, broken down into standards instead? And what would those goals/standards would be? That's your breakout session. Bender, we're going to give them 7.8 minutes. 7.8 minutes for the breakout room, and the link should be showing up for the breakout room. Just click on the link, and we'll meet you back here.
We gave them no choice this time. They are all in.
All right, perfect. Adrian, so what are your thoughts? What's your experience with corporate goal setting, or experience you want to talk about personal goal setting?
Yeah, D2, I really like this this topic. One of the things that hit me when he was speaking was about both, my personal goals, my corporate goals. And it took me back to when I was, I worked at SunTrust, and I had a big goal to climb up the ladder. And then a funny thing happened. I was about 32 years old, and I become a senior vice president, and I wake up and think, uh-oh, I got another 30 years of working, and that was the goal. And so I had to realign my what I wanted to achieve, and thus became this quest of doing mission-based work, to have work that brings value to myself and to others, and to be successful at doing so. And so I've been very fortunate that as I realigned my personal priorities, I've been able to do that. But one thing that really resonates with me is when our Mid-Atlantic CEO said to me one day, he said something to me that was very interesting. My goals at the time were around making sure that we increased market share, to make sure that we were a market leader. And then he said to me one day, and Adrian, don't forget to be selfish. What is that? What does that mean? Don't forget to be selfish. And what he was really trying to say is, as you're trying to map out what our success is going to be, don't forget to make sure that you do all the things that you need to do in order to have self-fulfillment, to achieve the things that you want to achieve your personal and professional goals. Don't be afraid to be selfish as you're trying to align the organization to achieve its goals, because being selfish is going to take you a lot further in your personal desires than if you're focusing solely in this moment on the goals of our organization. And you know what? I thought, I'll call him out. I thought CT was an amazing leader, and I really appreciate that statement. But as I think about goals overall, and I mentioned it a minute ago, D2, a lot of times, and this is what the speaker was saying, a lot of times our goals are goals for goal's sake. We set a goal, we put it out there, and now it's going to miraculously happen. And then we're going to measure against our goals. And then as we measure against our goals, we realize that our goals are still out there. We're no closer to our goal than we were the day before yesterday. And that's because oftentimes when we set our goals, we don't have the intentionality that is required to achieve your goals on a daily basis. And I really appreciated that the speaker basically said, what's your values? So start with your values, and then determine what are your daily standards, what are the daily activities that you're going to do that are embedded in your values in order to achieve your goals. And so a lot of times we measure the wrong thing. We're so busy trying to measure the goal that is not going to happen if we don't do the daily activities, whereas instead we need to make sure that we have quality in our activities, and then measure our activities against how much of what by when with these activities. You measure those good quality activities, the results are going to come, the goals are going to come. So what we have to do is reprioritize what's important. The goal is not what's important. The goal is going to happen. What's important is the daily standards, the daily activities, the things that we've got to actually put in the work on in order to have the outcome that we want to achieve. And that's true whether it be for yourself personally, that's true if it be for your family, organizations, your company. You've got to be willing to put in the daily work on the daily activities and measure that on a daily basis.
Oh, you knocked it out the park, Adrian. And I'm gonna use a little bit of different language, Adrian. You know, oftentimes, you know, people look at goals from one perspective as a lag measure, right?
Yeah.
A lag measure, something, well, I'm gonna weigh this, I'm gonna get this much money, versus looking at it from a lead measure. A lead measure are the things that I'm gonna do daily or weekly that will produce the result. Translation to his nomenclature, his language, is the standard. The standard that you're leading every day. And often when you focus on the lead measure, because again, that's why you really want to say, hey, to have this in my life, or to get to this particular vocation, what are the activities that I need to do consistently on a consistent basis? So if I do them, they lead to the result. And we have more control over the lead measure, because we want to choose things that's within our power to do and that we can consistently do it. And if we do those things, it will produce that result. But what often happens is we might choose a lead measure. We think it will lead to the result, but it won't lead to the result that we consistently do the lead measure, but doesn't really produce the result.
Yep. Or actually, D2, something even worse can happen. Because sometimes we set our goals only based on our frame of reference.
Woo!
We base our goals only on what we know. And if we just focus on that goal, which is limited by what we know,
yes,
we are not opened up to the possibilities of things that can't even be imagined. But when you focus on the right behaviors, it seems to open up opportunities that go beyond your goal.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're looking back at the goal and not even realizing when you hit it.
Absolutely. The our folks are coming back from the breakout rooms. Y'all know when y'all are in the room, Adrian and I, we're in the room having the same discussion that y'all have. So welcome back. Hopefully all of you had a wonderful and productive session. So what we want to do, and we have about 7 minutes, is to kind of get the highlights from your breakout room sessions. So we're going to start with the motivators. We had Adrian Fagans and Eric Smith. What were some of the top insights that came out for your group's discussion?
Eric, you're on mute.
And Adrian and I, we talked, well, what I talked about, and I think Derek meant this, and everyone that's talked is, a plan is great, but you can't have a plan sitting in your lazy boy. There's got to be action and plan. They go together. You can't have a plan without a course of action and proactive action. And, and then I was thinking, I've received services, given services, been a model, looked at mentors. And what I told Adrian is, really, one lady just looked at me and she said, Eric, baby steps. And I'm sure we all understand baby steps, right? You can't get from A to B. You got to start out with baby steps. And Adrian says, she she's also working on weight, 60, I said 50, whatever, but for me, it's being conscious of what I put in my mouth. Do I put nutritious things in my mouth? Do I put proper healthy portions in my mouth? Do I eat at the right time? I've been given this information. I just have to execute. So anyway, it's execution. I think, Adrian, execution,
right,
and a plan of action. That's what I got.
And also celebrating the milestone, not waiting till you get to the very end to celebrate and then find you're not happy. But when you get to that, hey, I lost that 1 pound last week, celebrate it.
Yeah, Adrian mentioned that. What fun are achievements if you don't get to kick back and enjoy the fruits of your labor? Why work?
Absolutely. Thank you both. That is a powerful, powerful message. It's a concept that I want to quickly give to all of you. It's called the positive and the negative zone. So the negative zone is when we look at where we are in relation to where we want to be in the future, right? And so at the beginning of the year, you say, I want to accomplish a particular goal, and it's like on the horizon. And it's like when you're driving on the road, you see the horizon, but the horizon keeps moving. You never get to it. So it creates a negative zone because we feel like we want to get there, but we're not there. And then we get to the negative feelings, and then it's hard to continue to move forward. Versus the positive zone. The positive zone is that we look where we started and how much progress that we've made. So, that expression is, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And when you can recognize that, then you can build on that to keep moving forward, because you're going to feel good and you're going to feel positive about not being in the same place that where you were originally. So y'all brought that insight out. Thank y'all for sharing. I'd like to transition to the early risers. We have Cartier. That's such a sophisticated name, Cartier Smith and Vera. We'll have y'all share a couple insights from your sessions.
Vera, did you want to jump in or?
Yeah, Cartier, you had a great visual. If you'll share what you shared with me.
Oh, sure. So Vera and I were talking, and we were what I was sharing with her is that, I took from the video really about behaviors affecting your goals. And one thing that I had an issue with personally was setting a goal for myself to save this amount of money for this certain purchase. And as I was making more money on the job, I kept on making more money, but I wasn't saving any any money, that I set for myself. And so I had to have an uncomfortable conversation with myself. I'd had it with my bosses about raises. I had it on interviews about, with different jobs and trying to get more money, but I didn't have an uncomfortable conversation with myself about my behavior. And my behavior was just that I had poor money management skills. And until I recognized that, and I said to myself that you really do poorly with managing your money, nothing was going to change. And so I practiced that behavior over time. And now I can say it's a standard, but it hasn't always been the case. So I took all of that from the conversations and just shared that with Vera.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, Cartier, and she's so on point. And so I was kind of asking from what Derek had said, how long do you stick with those systems and things that aren't working? How long do we sit there and stay in these situations? And it's like, you don't know who you are. That's why you're sitting there. And like Cartier had said, you need to have that hard conversation with yourself. It's always like, oh, you need to talk to that person and have that hard conversation with this other person. But yeah, you need to have those conversations with yourself.
Well, both of y'all, speak. Speak. Excellent. Thank y'all for sharing. And we're going to go to Tanya. Was with the Go-Getters. I think her partner in success dropped off. Tanya, any insights from your session?
Yes, I was with Cheryl Roberts. She did have to go to another meeting. But she said that one thing she said that she does vision boards. She talked about that, and also she has a government job that can change in the next 90 days, like the leaders there. And so she's been getting a lot of calls from staff, not really knowing what's going to happen. And she said she had to kind of set a standard that she won't take calls after a certain time because people are calling her late at night, to talk about it. And she said the one thing she's going to do is write down something that she will enjoy doing for the day in the daytime, kind of like journaling. And she suggested I do some kind of an informal journal daily, because I said that mine was like drinking more water and just moving around, more, getting in more steps. So she suggested a journal to do daily. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. Excellent tip. I mean, change is constant, when you work for government or you work with anything associated with administrations, right? Or even if you just work for a company, companies change, they get bought out, leaders go, all the time. And then, and so when you're on the team, you have a different perspective. And when you're leading the team, you also have your own, and then you also have to care about the people, and a lot of self-care, needs to be involved in that. So you have the capacity, and boundaries need to be set. So it's important. And then the power of journaling is very good, no matter what you're going to do, because tracking is a best practice, for going to the next level. Adrian, any insights you'd like to add before I do a quick summary and talk about next time?
Yeah, absolutely, D2. D2, first of all, I think everyone shared some really great information. One thing that really stuck with me from the conversation just now was, I think it was Vera, how long do you continue to do the things that don't produce the results that you're looking for? And that goes right back to intentionality. You have to be willing to, yes, have that uncomfortable conversation with yourself and ask yourself, what will I do differently? Because continuing to do the same thing is not going to produce what you need. So you have to say, what am I doing? What's working? So really be realistic. What's working? And then what's not working that I have to drop off? And maybe I've got to do some new behaviors. And in order to do new behaviors, I got to make room for new behaviors by letting go of things that just aren't working towards my goal or not working in my life. I got to let those things go. And so I really appreciate that. And then the thing that D2 and I were talking about, and I'll mention this very briefly, D2, is that when it comes to setting your goals and to achieving your goals, that intentionality comes down to the specification of the activities that you are going to do and making sure that you are looking at them and measuring them on the front end. So you measure activities in order to achieve goals. You don't set goals and then measure yourself to the goal. You measure your activities and your commitment and your daily actions. And that's what leads to your ongoing success, whether it be personal or professionally.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adrian. Those are excellent. What I would like to add, to that, Adrian, is when we're looking at goal setting and we're not achieving the results, and we start to do that analysis and we say, hey, is this working? One of the things that we're also invited to consider is, are we following the instructions? Are we following the instructions? A lot of times when I work with clients, there's a specific strategy or specific way to go about doing things. And sometimes we add our own spin to it. We're not doing to the specification.
Yes.
If you ever had a recipe, you're supposed to produce particular results, but we add all this other stuff to it. Didn't put in this, I substituted that. Or people go to a restaurant, they order this, but then they add all these substitutions and say, oh man, it didn't taste good. Well, it wasn't designed to be done that way. And let's just study with Subway. Subway says their best franchisees are people that come from the agriculture industry and not people with MBAs. Because the people with MBAs are so smart that they don't follow the Subway process. they keep trying to change the process before they understand the process. Where with the people from the agriculture, they come in and they follow the instructions to the T, right? And then after they have deeply understood it, then they start to make adjustments. They might make adjustments because they understand the process first. So, I mean, oh man, we could do just a whole session. We could do a whole session on this thing right here, Adrian. Because it really—
You already know what's going through my mind, D2.
Yes. Absolutely. So we're going to give y'all some post assignments. We'll send it out to you. You know, we believe in a little deliberate practice and the ability to, deepen this information. So, reflect on your own goals, come up with your own standards, and how does that daily standard look for you? Describe it and be able to apply it. And then December 3rd will be our next session. And we're going to be talking, leading requires being present and mindful. This session sets this up, right? Being present and mindful. And we're going to really take this idea of being present and mindful, again, setting us up for 2022 for the season, because we're in preseason. Adrian, any last final thoughts?
No, D2, we are straight up 9 o'clock. I just want to thank everyone for coming. Our goal is to always end on time and get you ready for your day. Have a great one.
Thank
you. Happy Veterans Day. Happy Thanksgiving. Y'all have a good week.